First off, the hardware. Now, as we know with Nexus devices, we're not really supposed to expect amazing build quality or, you know, the very latest manufacturing techniques. And the Nexus 5 kind of holds true to that in some ways, but in other ways dispels it completely. This is by far the best built Nexus that I've ever used. Overall, the build quality is absolutely fantastic, with just a couple of rough edges, literally, that could very well be improved in iterations they may do during the manufacturing process, whilst this device is on the market for the next, say, 18 months or so. Now, one of the most important things with the hardware is its in-the-hand feel. We'll discuss the specs of the device in a moment, but what a lot of you are really interested in is, well, how does it feel in the hand? It's beautifully well balanced. At no point does any one element of the device feel like it's overbalanced or anything like that, to the point where if I do this just right, it will balance on my finger perfectly. The centre of gravity is really good on it. It is centerized, as it were, so my finger there is practically in the centre and it's not falling off or anything like that. So it's not a device that's going to overbalance in your hand or anything like that. Something that with the Note devices, for instance, can occasionally be a problem, and certainly with the HTC One, that device does feel particularly bottom heavy. Now, the in-the-hand feel is a difficult one to kind of convey, but from my perspective, I'm looking for a device which sits snugly into the grooves of my hand here and here, so that I can grip it from the sides quite easily, as the vast majority of people do. Now, what really aids the in-the-hand feel is always how tapered these edges are going to be, or whether the edges have actually been tapered at all, or tapered too much. And in honesty, I think this is probably one of the best devices I've ever held. It's lightweight. It feels lightweight in your hand, but not so light like the Galaxy S4 does, that it almost feels like it's, you know, throwaway light. Oh, you know, I forgot it was in my hand and I've tossed it over my shoulder. It feels right. And it feels almost as good as holding that Galaxy Note 2 for the first time, where it feels substantial in the hand, yet firmly gripped. It doesn't feel like it's going to slip through your hand like the HTC One does due to its aluminium frame. Overall, it has a great in-the-hand feel, and interestingly, no handache after an hour or so's gaming. For instance, the way that everything has been tapered off and the rounded edges means that it sits really nicely in the candy bar fashion, as it were, in your hand for gaming. But likewise, for one-handed operation, again, it feels great. Now, there is only one major downside to the in-the-hand feel, and it's this lip that runs around the kind of top of the display, and it's this outer band, and then the display is sitting inside it. Some of these edges are just a little tiny bit rough, I think is probably the best way to describe it. Certainly up here on this corner, you kind of can feel that it's a little bit raised up in comparison to the, obviously, flushness of the screen. It's a very minor thing, but it may cause some people just to get a little bit of wear and tear on their skin, depending on how they're handling the device. I think this is something that Google will fix during the manufacturing process. Just a little bit more finishing on there would have been absolutely grand. Now, the only other thing to note, and a few other people have picked up on this as well, to varying degrees, the buttons, volume rocker and the power button. Whilst my volume rocker, perfectly fine. I mean, it feels no looser in the socket, as it were, than, say, the Galaxy S4. But however, the power button does feel just a little bit on the wobbly side. Now, a few different people have picked up on this. I think it really is just a manufacturing thing with the first edition units, and will probably get sorted out. But you can just feel that the button is just a little bit floaty in the socket in comparison to something that, you know, like the Galaxy S4 or HTC One, where it feels like the button is really solid and, you know, has very little movement there. It's a minor thing. But bearing in mind that the Google Nexus devices sell for a couple of £100, nearly $300 cheaper than some of the top flight devices, I think we can excuse them for having a slightly wobbly power button. Overall, the hardware physically is absolutely top-notch, and it is incredibly well manufactured. They've really put their thought into making a great in-the-hand device. Like I say, a couple of very small, rough edges, as it were, but not anything that I would consider to be a deal breaker, and just the power button that's just a little bit wobbly. But again, it's nothing that I would sort of say to myself, right, I'm sending this device back for a replacement. Do you know what I mean? Very, very minor manufacturing things that I believe will get fixed over time.